Okay. Hello. Good evening, everyone. Good morning or afternoon, depending on when you're listening. Welcome to the 40th of hopefully many episodes of Bardadvice, a D&D slash TTRPG slash life advice podcast wherein people send me questions and I do my best to give answers to those questions. My name is Charles or Chaz or Yazik or the DM or the Bard, however you may know me. At the top of the show, we like to remind everyone, please, to send all of your questions, concerns, queries, complaints, compliments, criticisms, etc. to bardadvice@gmail.com. If you'd like to purchase some merchandise, you can do so at manshorts.com. And if you'd like to contribute to anything that I'm doing musically, you can do so directly via PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo, all of which are Yazik, Yahzik. I'd like to thank everybody for joining this week. It has been a pretty crazy, weird week. Would like to also, at the beginning, as we do, remind everyone, or rather thank all of our members, patrons, super chatters. Thank everyone for liking. Please like the video if you're watching or like the podcast. Comment, subscribe, share on your respective platforms. Rate on your respective platforms. All of those good things. So, this week we don't have an art corner. I would actually just like to direct everyone to a Gofundme that I've started to help fix my car. So, as you can see, I have set up a GoFundMe. I've got a link for it in the description of this YouTube video. I have quite a bit of expense that needs to go into the car. It's much more than I originally anticipated it would be. I recognize that times are tough and people are struggling all over the place. So, I would only expect what anyone is able and willing to give. If you are and you feel so inclined, please, the link is in the description. I've got to get that stuff taken care of. So, tonight we do have some questions. We've got actually quite a few. I think we've got 7 questions and a follow-up, so we're going to try our best to get through it all. But just say hello to all of the regulars. Hello, everyone. River, Pirate, the Chris's, Avram, Ron. Thanks for joining. Rocco, Noah. Hope everybody's doing well. So let's get into it, shall we? Since we've got some questions, let's get moving onward with it. So the first question this week is from Chris. And Chris asks, "Hey there, Chaz. Chris again. Wanted yours and chat's opinion on something. I saw a recent post in which the poster was considering creating a character with at least 1 level in every single class. Do you see any merit in this idea? Personally, I feel it would be a disaster to RP, and you wouldn't get any real bonuses from a handful of level 1 class features. What are your thoughts? Is there a way to make this work?" Well, thank you for the question, Chris. I have had this idea before myself. And in fact, for fun, when I got the question and started thinking about it, I went ahead and went over to the Beyond website and built it out. So, in giving 1 level of every class to the character, you have a level 13 character. I named him Jack because, and I will say, got some good skills, although you would hope to actually expect these kind of skills from a level 13 anything character. And on paper, it doesn't look that bad, but when you get down into it, you don't get any feats. Unless whatever that class is grants you one, but there can only be like a few of those. And the abilities that you get while beneficial individually as a class level, are not necessarily good as a collective. I think that there are some things that you could do with it, but I think you're way better off focusing on a couple. Let's see what chat says. Waste of time, but if that's the character you want to play, it'll help. It will help out. Sounds like a Swiss Army man. Wasn't that the idea behind bards? A jack of all trades, master of none. Yeah. There's really only one benefit that I could possibly think of having a character like this, and it would only be in such a way where you were a charlatan and you somehow used your identification as being one of those particular classes to your advantage. But I don't even know how you would do that, how that would work out. Essentially, what I mean by that is like you would have the ability to say to someone like, oh, well, I'm a bard. And then if they were like, prove it, you could do it because your level in that class would afford you to at least do something that only that class could do. But that's really the only benefit I could think of, and that's kind of a stretch. You would almost have to build it out that way specifically for it to work. So it sounds fun, and it sounds like a cool idea on paper. Like, I've thought of it before, like just the idea of what that would look like, and in building it, it is it's not that great. You just don't get enough. So I just think that you're better served putting your levels elsewhere. Doesn't make sense unless you put like 5 levels in each class. Yeah, for sure. I think you'd be better off like splitting up, you know, if you wanted to have fun with multi-classing and do like 3 or 4, maybe. But it starts getting... And I've actually discovered this with Baldur's Gate 3, which we'll talk about later, as I've been like respecking and stuff, like in my respective campaigns, like getting to a particular level and then like kind of reimagining the character, like, okay, well, what if I dropped down 2 of these levels and took 2 in Rogue or whatever? And I've discovered in doing that, kind of trying to like build these little patchwork class things, is that it's really better served sticking with as few classes as possible. It's just because, like, the more you split stuff, the more that you give up. Like, here's a great example. I was looking at, like, the split for... When I was at, like, level 5, I was looking at, like, respecking and splitting my character. But if you do 2 classes or 3 classes, you immediately start losing things that you have as level 5, right? So if you're a level 5 fighter, you get that extra attack. Of course, I guess everybody gets it. Does everybody get it? I don't know if D&D and Baldur's Gate 3 are different, how that works. Anyway, the point is that, like, you were a level 5 fighter, and it's like, oh, now you want to switch to, like, level 3 fighter, level 2 ranger. And it's like, yeah, cool, now you can do this ranger stuff, but there goes your extra attack. As well as, you know, a feat or ability score improvement from level 4. That's another big problem with splitting your class like that, is that you don't get any... There's not really any ability score increases unless you get it with your first level. So... Oh, and then, of course, spells. Geez, you could probably only cast a maximum level 1, but can anybody cast level 1 spells at level 1? Probably like full casters, like wizards. Courier Bard does singing telegrams and hustles on the canaries and street vendors. Courier Bard, oh. Hustles the carnies and street vendors. Not every class in 5e gets extra attack at 5, okay. Well, even still, like, levels matter, and the more that you break the levels up into other classes, the more I think you ultimately forfeit. It sounds kind of like a cool idea, but I think you're better served just going 2 or 3. You know, 4 at the most. Anything above that is just like, what are you doing? I think that there's some things that you can really combine well. I think that, like, Rogue Barbarian combines well. Rogue Ranger is cool. Rogue Fighter. Anything Rogue, really, just because Rogue gets nice stuff early. I.e. sneak attack damage. So, Yeah, I don't see much merit in it other than to say that you did it. Now, there is, if you're somebody that's like been playing for a long time and you're looking for a challenge and something new, then, maybe. Because just the sheer challenge of RPing, of like finding a real personality with that, as someone who's just so spread over different schools of study and training, like, what are they like? Do they even have time to have a personality, or are they just like spending all of their time studying? So, I don't know. Yeah, and then Flint says, write your own subclass. And you can do that too. That's totally a thing. I think, oh yeah, and Warlocks do multi-class as well because they get nice stuff early on. I mean, Eldritch Blast, that's such a crazy thing. Anybody, if you can ever get Eldritch Blast, do. If you can take Eldritch Blast, you take Eldritch Blast. So, thank you for the question, Chris. Hope that gives you an answer. It seems like it's kind of more of a novelty, so I don't know that there's much real value in it. Let's keep moving. We got more questions. The next question is from Tyler. Oh, yeah, and this is not D&D related, but it's a question that I wanted to do. Tyler asks, what happened to the Jags last week? Granted, we could have looked better, but your offense didn't even show up. On a serious note, Jaguars are probably going to have a solid year. These first few weeks don't mean too much. Maybe we'll see you in the playoffs again. Love all the vids and the podcast. Good luck on new music. Love from a Mann Shorts / Chiefs fan. All right, Tyler. Well, I'll let it slide. Your Mann Shorts fan allows me to let the Chiefs fan thing slide. I don't know what happened, okay? I'm not sure what's going on. But what I will say is this. I know that it was 100 degrees on the field when we had this loss. I know that there were a tremendous amount of penalties on both sides of the ball for just stupid stuff, probably because it was 100 degrees. I know that a lot of people in the stadium were treated for heat exhaustion problems. So I think that was an element. I also think that, it's early days. We're kind of figuring out where our go-to guys and who our go-to guys are going to be. Calvin Ridley looked great week 1 and then kind of by himself. And then last week, Christian Kirk looked really well kind of by himself. So we just got to, get both of those guys going at the same time. And Trevor too. I don't think that Trevor was terrible, but he certainly was not at the level that he needs to be, or rather that he could be or has been before. So another note that I'll say about the Jags-Chiefs game is that the Chiefs were one of the losses that I had in my head this year. So I said that I think we're going to go 11-6, and the Chiefs was one of those losses. So it's not the end of the world. It is still early days, but yeah, I hope we can get it done next week against Houston, because then we're going to London for 2 weeks. And by the way, I don't know if anybody saw that thing that Disney's going to be doing with the Jags game in London, but you should look it up. It's pretty crazy. They're going to be presenting that game from Andy's room. So it's going to be a thing where it's like they essentially, I guess, are just going to be like visually or virtually skinning the game so that it looks like they're like toy size playing in Andy's room from Toy Story. So that's going to be really weird. Tampa Bay is going to beat the Eagles Monday night in Tampa. Maybe. That's going to be a crazy division too, by the way. That Tampa division. It's going to be interesting. I hope to see Tank Bigsby more too. I think that he's talented. He's a good running back. We should use him more with the 1-2 punch with Etienne. I don't know why Bigsby was just like absent last week too, but I don't know. Give it a little more time. We'll see in the middle of the season. We'll be a little bit better. And hey, we may see each other again. Heck, we might be playing for the AFC Championship game, although Miami exists and Tua is a problem. So, Gamecocks forgot about the second half versus Georgia. Oh, yeah, and college ball is, I'm interested about the Colorado-Oregon game tomorrow. That'll be real interesting to see what happens with that. All right. Well, thanks for the question, Tyler. like I said, I'm not thrilled to hear that you're a Chiefs fan, but it's nice to hear that you're a Manshorts fan, and that'll do, I suppose. Next question that we have is from Sarah. And Sarah asks, oh no, I didn't mean to open this. Sarah asks, can you share some advice for balancing a demanding job or studies with a thriving TTRPG hobby? Thank you for the question, Sarah. I am not a very good person to ask that question, just because I have trouble with that myself. I have trouble balancing really anything in my life when it comes to my job and my hobbies and my marriage and my interpersonal relationships. It's tough, just living in general and scheduling things and making time. The only note that I had for that was to make time for yourself to rest and recharge. And I need to listen to that advice myself. I really should take some time off of work soon. But working in time for yourself, I think, is important, because it's really easy to spread yourself too thin and fill up your schedule with other people's stuff. I mean, everything is your stuff, but you know what I mean. Like, you gotta try and find making a schedule, I think, is helpful in that. Find a TTRPG hobby that pays you well and quit your main job. Yeah, true. We bards don't all gotta agree on everything about everything. Just a little about the little things. Start with basic boundaries you might want to keep. Designate time for certain things so things don't get all jumbled up together. Yeah, most definitely. So, with I think, like, when it comes to making a schedule too, like, start with the things that you're going to have to do. So stuff like sleep and work should have designated windows that it's just like, this is happening during those periods. And then that can allow you to find when the other slots of time are and then fill them up accordingly. Balance is essential. I've said it before, take at least one day each week where you entirely avoid TTRPG stuff. Yeah, it's true. Carry a notebook with you everywhere, so when you get an idea for your campaign, you can write it down. Helps working the ability to plan the game into your life. Oh yeah, that's a good point that River said. Yeah, or even if it's not a physical notebook, I'm really good about notes on my phone. I'm not good about remembering that they're there, but I'm good about writing things down with them. But yeah, you could do that with a notebook as well. Just have a little thing where even like a little spiral notebook with where you can just kind of flip it out and just write a little note down about it. Find an FLGS that hosts weekly and try to make that your time. Oh, that's a really great idea too. Yeah, if you kind of you in a way you're sort of restricting yourself in that regard, but that could be a good thing, because maybe what you need is guidance in crafting the schedule, and maybe you're somebody like me who maybe has large windows of time where you're not necessarily doing anything, and so that can be overwhelming. People that work a lot of hours and don't have a lot of free time would probably be like, what are you talking about? That would be a great problem to have. But there is a thing of where it's like, oh wow, well, I don't have anything to do tomorrow. Like, what am I going to fill with that time? But if you have a scenario where there's a game in an FLGS where it's like, we play Tuesdays at 7:00, it's like, oh, okay, well, so now you've got like a sort of a foundation that you can build around, where it's just like, oh, well, okay, well, Tuesdays at 7, I'm busy because I'm doing this. So then I've got to, take that into account when I'm making the rest of my schedule. But I think overall, like, keeping yourself in mind and your mental health in mind, because if you're not rested and you're not feeling okay, then you're not going to be very good for anybody else. All right, well, have a good one, Preston. Thanks for stopping by. Planned plans. Or just bowling league one night a week. Yeah, that's cool. Bowling. Oh, man, I haven't been bowling in a really long time. But yeah, hopefully there's something in there for you, Sarah, that you can use. Yeah, the notebook thing is, I should be doing that, but I can barely keep track of the stuff I already have. I don't know if I need to add anything else into that mix. All right, so let's keep moving. This next question is about 3-5, which is exciting. I thought it was funny, and we'll talk about why in a second. But this next question is from Davis. And Davis asks, "Hey Bard, I was curious about something. My roommate's been playing in a homebrew 3-5 campaign for a few years, and the other day he was complaining about how often opportunity attacks happen. Attacks of opportunity. Specifically, he triggered one because he read a scroll. Is that rules as written? I only play 5e, and opportunity attacks really only happen... attacks of opportunity. Opportunity attacks really only happen if you move away without disengaging. It seems like everything in 3-5 provokes an OA. Oh, they're AOs. Okay, so... Man, that was tough to get through when I got it and was reading through it, because it's just so odd that they're called opportunity attacks now and not attacks of opportunity. They were always called attacks of opportunity in 3-5. But now they're called opportunity attacks. Potato, tomato. Doesn't matter. The point is, the short answer, Davis, is that yes, that is rules as written. In fact, lots of things provoke OAs, AOs. Lots of things provoke them in 3-5. So many things. Of activating any magic item, trigger a potion, if you're activating a scroll, using a wand, a rod, it's actions in combat. Yeah, that's where it is. Yep, and here's a list. So attack of opportunity, if you attack, it promotes an attack of opportunity. If you're unarmed or ranged and you're attacking melee. Bull rush, casting a spell, drinking a potion, lighting a torch, stabilizing, reading a scroll. If you try and sunder, and using a spell-like ability. So, and then obviously, moving out of your threat range, moving out of the threat range. In 5e, it's way different because the only opportunity attack that really exists in 5e is what you mentioned, which was moving away without disengaging. I'm sure that there's other ways, like that are based on specific scenarios or like classes and stuff, or maybe like feats or spells, but for the most part in 5e, the attack of opportunity is really only in that one case, if you're like moving out of somebody's threat range without doing the disengage option. But I don't think that disengage existed in 3-5, and even if it did, it wouldn't have mattered in how many opportunities there are for attacks of opportunity. So yeah, that's rules as written, and it seems a little harsh, and I kind of liked it because there were ways around it. There were abilities that you could take, and specifically as a fighter, there were feats that you had. There were a lot more feats just in general in 3-5. So with that, you have, I think, more capability of getting around those kind of problems. With feature class abilities, a few spells also use your single reaction per turn. Interacting with anything other than your weapon and an enemy within range. Okay, so there are a couple of things. But for the most part, it doesn't happen that often, so it's not much of a problem. But man, I hope that doesn't like deter that person from wanting to play 3-5, but 3-5 had the withdraw action as... That's right, instead of disengage. This disengage isn't a full round, is it? It's just like a regular action? Or it's like a bonus action or something? That's right, you could withdraw, but it was a full round action. And I think that if you did that, I don't know how you could come back in. Yeah, I think you had to just like keep going. That was part of the deal. If you did that, you had to commit to it. Disengage is a full action unless you're a rogue. Oh, okay. It's a bonus action for rogues. And that makes sense, I guess. It's kind of like an ejector seat. In Battle System, First Edition Mass Combat rules, moving or shooting first provokes, but shooting second doesn't. Huh. Well, I mean, unless you did it in surprise, right? Unless you did it before they knew it was coming. That's a fun thing that I've found in my Baldur's Gate 3 what do you call it? The Dark Urge run. Your dolly in the background. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one. The hallucinogenic Toreador. Yeah, rogues get dash, disengage, and hide as bonus actions. Do they get that? They get that at like level 2, right? They get all of those? Or do they get it at level 1? If you had a quick draw in 3-5, you could drop your primary weapon as a non-penalty action and draw your secondary weapon without incurring an attack of opportunity. Indeed, another great reason to take quick draw in 3-5. That was one of those feats I was talking about that would allow you to get around those kind of AOs. And quick draw was just like a staple. I feel like that was like the first thing I took, probably even before power attack, because it's like, man, if you're trying to do DPS, you got to be able to draw your weapon without it being a problem, you know? Level 2 plus extra subclass options at level 3. Man, I'm excited for what the future holds for Baldur's Gate 3 when it comes to mods and stuff, because I know they're kind of keeping their hands off of it. Just kind of letting the community build it out. I did see that there's a mod that affords for like 50 new races or something, and they're going to be adding more to it. I'd like them to just add a couple classes, notably the Artificer. I think that would be cool. In 3-5 Pathfinder, you got to be super careful and tactical with your actions, or you'll get attack of opportunity to death easy. That's true. Yeah, that's happened to me actually a few times. Maybe not completely to death, but I've gotten really wrecked from just AOs before. I've also done a lot of damage as a fighter from AOs. You just kind of like throw yourself down in the middle. If you've got like cleave and any kind of ability that instills fear and causes people to want to run away, people being the NPCs, I mean, that's the move. You just get in there and just start whacking people. But you have to remember to pick up your primary weapon after the battle or you've lost it forever. If you forgot, you dropped it. Yeah, done that kind of stuff before, too. I'm just like, oh, where's my bow? And it's like, oh, you don't remember? You set it down in the bar. Never picked it up. It's like, what? Attack of opportunity builds are absolutely a thing in Pathfinder 1E, and they're hilarious. A level 2 human fighter can trap an enemy in a near infinite attack of opportunity loop. Whoa, really? Level 2 in 5E, you mean? Tell me more. Interesting. I love fighters. I guess, yeah, if you were to do something that caused them to want to run, it's kind of that's kind of loopy. I feel like that's what I did when I was a Minotaur and I ran through all of those skeletons. It was just like a cleave / attack of opportunity fest. I might have only taken one turn in that whole like skeleton beatdown. All right. Well, thank you for the question, Davis. I hope that answers it. Yeah, there's a lot of AOs in 3.5. So if you do decide that you ever want to play it or try it, just be prepared for that. Keep that in mind. It's always that's, you know, keep your constitution in mind and cross your fingers when you roll your health. Or just go full stats. That's what we used to do. All right. We have got 3 more questions and a follow-up. And then we'll do a little bit of chat. But this next question is from Walter. And Walter asks, recently I've been considering getting into making YouTube content, but I'm a little unsure on where to begin. Yeah, well, welcome to the club. The end goal would be to make it profitable, but I also just like making funny and thought-provoking stuff. Any advice on a good starting point? Oh, don't do it. I'm just kidding. Thank you for the question, Walter. So there's a couple of parts of your question that we'll talk about. So you said that you like to make stuff. How much do you like to make stuff? Do you really like to make stuff? And this is why I ask. Because if you want to make content for the purpose of making content because you love making content, then I suggest that you just make and deliver what you want, right? If you want to do this as a career and you want it to be profitable, then my recommendation would be to not make your own content. It would be to make reaction content. If you want to just, if your goal is to just like put stuff out there where it's like going to make money for you and it's going to be a lucrative thing, then I would do reaction stuff because that stuff's very popular. Even like streaming, but like even a lot of the streamers these days are just kind of doing reaction content. So, but all that's to say, like doing what you love to do can be profitable, but it's not always easy. There are times that are better than others. And there are peaks and valleys with it because there's just kind of a lot of uncertainty. Like not everybody takes what we do seriously in terms of value. So that's something to keep in mind. Like not everybody is going to respect what you do. This is why my first question was like, you know, do you really love making stuff? Because if you really love making stuff, then none of that'll matter. And it certainly hasn't for me. I mean, I didn't get in this to get rich. I've gotten very lucky in it being able to afford me to live comfortably for the last several years. But it's not about like, oh man, I'm gonna, you know, I'm not in this to make the money. So I think that you need to decide why before you start doing anything. I think you need to decide what your primary motivator is. If your primary motivator is profit, don't like make thought-provoking stuff, certainly, because like nobody like, I mean, people care about it, but like not in the way that is going to be something that is quote unquote like viral or quote unquote profitable, right? So if your primary goal is to profit, but then you also want to make funny stuff, then I'd say just like go for reaction. That's the move. You finally got your art corner sent. Oh, okay, cool. Well, I will take a look. I have not actually, I'm a bit behind on the email, honestly. Some of these questions are from a while back, but different people have or take different values, different content differently. That's true. That's true. And something that you might not think is, you know, something that's like quote unquote good is something that people might really like. In fact, in my experience, the more I believe in a thing that a thing's going to do well, it doesn't do as well. And then the stuff that I don't even like think about at all, like stuff that I just is like an afterthought to me, seems to do very well. So it's just kind of like a there's a lot of inconsistency, and so my point is you really have to love it if you do it. So that's what I would say. That would be my advice, is to where I would begin is in where you want to, why you want to make the stuff. And make sure you really love it before you do it, because I don't know if I could survive it if I didn't love it. Very few of the content creators I follow seem to make much profit from YouTube. Seems there's more of a passion project than a profit one. Yeah, definitely. Well, a lot of the money is in like Most of the money these days when it comes to that is, whether it's YouTube or like TikTok, is like in the streaming aspects of it. So the better you think it is, the worse it does. It's a weird, that's a weird thing, but it's kind of true. Like, I feel like the more thought I put into something, I think the less people are interested. I don't know what that's about. But I will say, what I really love about what I do is that the people that show up to this show every week, and the people that show up and watch the sketch comedy videos every week, like, those are the people I think that make it really worth it. Certainly not the money. Become a monster that must be fed. Yeah, that too. That's another thing too. There's a little bit of be careful what you wish for in that, because you might make something and then it does really, really, really well, so you have to make a bunch of it and you don't really like it. We got really lucky in that because the D&Ds are a blast to make. We have a lot of fun making them. I think that they're fun. They're fun to write. They're fun to do. But there is such thing as getting stuck in there. So it's like that thing with writing. If you ever think it starts to suck. Yeah, most definitely. It's my understanding streamers that consistently can get a couple thousand viewers get some pretty crazy amounts of cash. I mean, maybe like 10,000. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said, I think, from a marketing standpoint, from a capitalist standpoint, about having somebody right there on the line, like when you're talking about streaming, as opposed to the videos that people are watching, quote unquote. When will we see the official Man shorts? The official Man shorts are on the website, my friend. If you go to manshorts.com, you can get yourself a pair of Man shorts. They're over there. And while I don't have any dates yet, we've got a lot of other cool stuff coming, hopefully by the end of this year. I know that we should have dice coming. And then I also had a very productive conversation with my agent today about something else that I guess I can't really speak of too much. So sorry for that. Speaking official Man Short stuff, where's that Discord at? We don't have a Discord for the Man Shorts. They are not cargo shorts. They're more like basketball shorts, but they're super comfortable. So I'd go get some if I were you. Been there for years. Yeah. So that's the short answer, Walter, is find out if you love it or you just want to use it to make money. And if you know which one of those is more of a factor for you, like money making or loving your work, if you love it, it isn't going to matter. Right? And if you're just going for profit, then my suggestion would just be to see what the other big streamers are doing. Like I said, reactions are really popular these days. Any kind of streams where you're either playing, maybe you do like a Baldur's Gate 3 thing or a Starfield thing. That's really popular these days in streaming. If it's just from a standpoint of like, man, I want to make some money, I think that those are good avenues to try. But if you just want to make cool, fun stuff, then I probably wouldn't think too much about profit, because it's really difficult to have both of those at the same time, Man Shorts zipper hoodies. Oh yeah, we should get some. That's a good idea. All right, well, thank you for the question, Walter. We have 2 more questions and a follow-up, and then maybe we can do a little chat. I know that the last question is going to send me in probably to a spin about talking about Baldur's Gate 3, but this next question is also from Chris. And Chris asks, does the bard have any tattoos? I'm assuming the bard being me. So, thank you for the question, Chris. No, I don't. I don't have any. And It's funny, I think, how that turned out, because I think when I was younger, whether I was vocal about it, I don't know, but I kind of always in my head expected that I would get tattoos when I was older and had ideas for them and wanted them. And in particular, as I got to be more of a teenager, started having more and more thoughts and ideas about like getting tattoos. Fortunately, well, I say fortunately, I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world if I had a tattoo, but I think that it was fortunate for me that my mother actually made a deal with me that once I turned 18, right? Mom offered a deal. Mom made a deal with me that if I didn't get one before I was 21, then she didn't care if I got one. So that's what it was. It was like, if you promise not to get one right now, like when you're 18, because I was going to get one. If you promise not to get one right now when you're 18 and wait until you're 21, then I won't care. And me, as an 18-year-old, was like, all right, whatever, that's fine. Like, I can wait 3 years and then I'll, be Travis Barker. But it didn't ever happen. It never really panned out. Like, once I was 21, maybe I had lost interest, and there's a couple of reasons probably. The first one being I'm incredibly indecisive, and I'm also somebody who I get kind of obsessed with things and then kind of abandon the thing. Like I guess like when I'm talking about like hobbies or interests. So I'm somebody who can get like really quickly and easily and super hyper fixated on something and be like super into it for like 3 months, and then it's just like I totally fall off of it. Right. So like that happened with like cricket. That is a great example of that. I don't follow it at all anymore, but there was a period where I could tell you everything about cricket that was going on. So with tattoos, certainly in retrospect, and probably at the time after I had turned 21, I always felt like I knew that I might not regret it immediately. But I always knew that there was a chance that I would get something that I felt genuine about when I got it, and then I just wouldn't really care about that thing anymore, and then I would just have that tattoo. Another thing is that I have like really sensitive skin. Like I feel like I don't know if I could handle it, honestly. I feel like I might cry. I don't think it would be good. And yeah, to your point, Chris, saying that they're addicting, I've heard that from more than one person. In fact, a lot of my friends have multiple tattoos. Justin, our director, has all kinds of tattoos, but I just never got one. And now I don't really have an interest to, because there's not really anything that I feel that strongly about. So... Oh, first time tuning in, Mark Wolf. Thanks for all the years of fun and ideas. Well, thank you, Mark, for stopping in and joining. Better late than never, Kirk. Welcome to the party. Can't understand a game that could last a week. I wonder if anyone out there has a man shorts tattoo. I doubt it. Got a couple, but if it did wait until like over 30. Henna tattoos. Yeah, there's that. I'm not opposed to that. I have like 11 singular pieces and working on a half a sleeve. That's cool. I'd like to also be clear, I don't have anything against tattoos. I think they're way cool. Like all of my friends have really cool ink. I don't know, just not for me maybe. This is a smart mom, but I think that's too a testament to my mom and how well she knows me, because it's like, no, just give it some time. And then after some time I was like, yeah, I don't really care. But it's a good thing, because, man, if I was 18 just going and getting tattoos, I'd have probably gotten like 10 tattoos. And then now we'd be having a conversation where I'd be like, yeah, well, this tattoo is kind of goofy. But that's not like a testament against like tattoos. It's less about tattoos and more about me. It's about me and my indecisiveness and me doing kind of goofy stuff. But does anyone market custom temporary tattoos? Like you can get things 3D printed to order. Oh, man. Remember those things? I feel like the only way that would work with a business model is if you did it in like, if there were bunches of them that you got. Or if the ones that you got were like really big and intricate. Okay, so over 30, I wouldn't be too old. I don't know. I mean, you could get tattoos whenever you want to. I don't have any particular desire to get them, but go get tatted. Do what you're going to do. It's not a big deal. I think they're cool. Big tat across your chest. Oh, yeah. No doubt. Yeah, the hip-hop thing. New tattoos are lame. Tattoos are a sign of identity issues. I don't know about that. I mean, I think also everybody has identity issues, right? Isn't that the whole thing about this existence? We're all just the same thing experiencing itself. It's pretty bizarre. But thanks for the question, Chris. No tattoos. All right, so we got one more question and then a follow-up, and then we could do some chat. But this last question is from Sam, and it's about Baldur's Gate 3. So let's talk about it. Hey, Charles, you've gotten a few questions on Baldur's Gate 3 already, so allow me to ask a few more. Do you have any other playthroughs you're running besides the Dragonborn Cowboy Fighter? If you haven't, do you plan on doing a Dark Urge run? And are you going to stream it? Looking forward to your answers, and thanks for the podcast. Well, thanks for the question, Sam. So, I do indeed have actually a couple of campaigns running in Baldur's Gate 3. So, in addition to the game that I have with my buddies where I'm the Dragonborn fighter, I am running a bard party with River. And so it's just a party of 4 bards. And that's been way fun because you got 4 different bards. They've each got their own instrument, and then they can play songs. It's a fun time. Not to mention just how crazy like all the bardic inspiration is, and having high cha and just being able to talk your way out of everything. That's been the most fun for me, I think, is just like doing everything. All of my playthroughs I've done differently. So I have that one. That's the bard run. And then I have 2 campaigns that are solo that I'm running alone. One in which was my first one is a wood elf druid, which has been a lot of fun. Druids are cool. And recently I started my own solo where I'm doing my Dark Urge run. So, and that's a tiefling warlock because edgelord. And it's pretty much just in my Dark Urge run, I pretty much just kill everything that I can before even doing any kind of dialogue. I'll just come up and sneak attack and get the jump on them. And 4 bards, how do they survive a battle? Not easily. But I don't know. You'd be surprised. I was. There were some moments, I guess, where we almost died. Party of 4 bards needs a paladin to follow around and sing songs. Oh, Sir Robin from Monty Python, yeah. 4 bard survival is all about whether the DM wants them to have a chance, just like any other combat. Yeah. I have heard that AD&D bards were pretty insane. Be able to crep for a name. We've done. I'm surprised at how we've done, but although we're not that deep, but yeah, I do. I'd say that because we're both lore bards, and then the players that we have as the hireling bards are one of them's swords and one of them's whatever the other one is, valor. The different schools. But yeah, I imagine it'll actually probably just get easier for us as we get, I mean, obviously it gets easier as you get higher level, but I just mean easier to survive from the sense of our spells being able to be a lot more powerful. So, I am doing the Dark Urge run, and that's been fun. College of Whispers is not on there. From what I saw it's just lore, valor, and swords. Have they done any kind of announcement on like when new stuff will be there, or if they're working on new stuff? We were talking earlier about how I feel like they've just kind of thrown their hands up a bit and stepped back a little. I think just like, oh, what could this look like, and then they can just later go in and do like an update or something, DLC. You want your Dark Urge to be a human fighter because basically Bards used to be a special class like Paladin that you'd have to qualify for with class levels. Oh, yeah, like the original Prestige classes. You just want it on Xbox. When is that coming? They haven't given a definitive date. They really do need to get that out. And then once that happens, they need the cross-play. I'm just excited about it in general. Spore Druid Dark Urge has been so much fun. I bet. Yeah, I've heard not just from you either, River. I've heard from other people that Spore Druids are pretty insane. And I was looking at like a breakdown. They were not lying about people not playing clerics. That seems strange to me because I wonder how crazy clerics can be in late game. Specifically like a war cleric. And not even late game. Even like up to like level 13, 14, like I imagine if you were a war cleric, you could be doing some real work. Some of those, even something like Guiding Bolt does crazy damage. Just like set stuff on fire. And war clerics also, I think, can like attack as a bonus action if you like from casting a spell. Lore seems to be the best from all around power and versatility. Yeah, for sure. I think that if you're just wanting to do bard stuff, lore is probably best, but you know, there's value in the other ones. Dungeon Dudes have a few videos on all one class parties. Oh, interesting. Oh, wow. Thank you very much for the donation. A few bucks. Love your work. Use it for more content. Will do. Thank you very much for your generous donation. We will use it to keep the lights on and keep making content. I am special. Oh yeah. The bard thing, because they didn't exist in OD&D, right? Wasn't OD&D just like 4 classes or something? And then when AD&D came out, they introduced the bard, and it was like super secret, cool, special, fancy town. So that's pretty neat. Early magical secrets. All right, let's do this follow-up, and then we'll do a little chat, and then I got to get out of here. I've got stuff to do. I'm surprised every week, honestly, that this thing goes by as fast as it does because we're already knocking on the door, but let's do this follow-up here. This follow-up is from Teresa, and I don't even remember which episode this was from, but let's do it. So Teresa says, a few months ago, I sent in a question about how to make a good BBEG. I took your advice and made a list of terrible traits and created an outcast necromancer / cult leader. Nice. His connection to the players is that they each lost a loved one to the cult, either by their joining or by death. It's fun because any NPC could be a member of the cult. Your advice has gotten my first campaign off to a great start. Thanks, and keep up the good work. Well, thank you. I'm glad to hear that the advice helped you in crafting something. That does sound pretty cool. I do like when you have those kind of situations, like a cult or like a Borg from Star Trek kind of situation, or even like the Mind Flayer thing that's going on in Baldur's Gate 3. It's great when you have something like that because it allows you to have a BBEG that's ever present, even if they're not actually physically there. In fact, in your case, you'd want them to be ever present in spite of being there, So that's a great way to do it, because he's kind of got his, his followers are kind of always out there, and they really could be anybody. So clerics also used to be broken. People used to roll special 1v1 or special level 1 clerics with bonuses, and they were the most powerful level 1 build in tournament level D&D. Not sure why clerics are so rare now. Yeah, it is a weird thing. I guess because people just like hard associate them with heals, and they just assume like, oh yeah, well, I don't want to do that. And to be fair, if you are a cleric, people are going to be asking you for heals a lot. So especially if you've got like a party full of like rogues and fighters and stuff, if they know you're a cleric, they know that you can heal. So if you're trying to do something kind of different or cool, then if you're doing it in Baldur's Gate 3, then I'd say just do it in a solo campaign that you're running. Just be the cleric, and because then you could spec everybody else out to be whatever you want. And you don't necessarily have to heal them either. It's different than when you're playing in a group, because it's like if you're a cleric and you can heal, people are going to ask for it, and that's going to cost you actions if that's not something that you really want to do. Insanely strong and very underrated because healer. Yeah, for sure. And they get a lot of cool bonuses and stuff. And it's not just, like even just getting like radiant damage and stuff. It comes in. They're way more than, they're more than a heal bot. I agree, way more. Play a cleric and tell everyone else you're playing a blade singer wizard. That's a thing I'll say I miss, that I'm sure that they exist, but not to the degree they did in 3.5. Just the sheer number of multi-classes and prestige classes. When you said that about the blade singer wizard, it made me think of a dusk blade from 3.5. I'm pretty sure they were either in the PHP 2, or they could have been maybe in the complete scoundrel, maybe, perhaps. I don't know. Main character's a life cleric. Pretty much make your party immortal because no one dies on my watch. Don't need a healer in Baldur's Gate 3 as long as you pick up craft as many potions as you can. Yeah, I tend to agree with that. And also, a lot of the classes kind of have it cooked into them already, the built-in. Like the fighters get second wind, which is from my playing through the game and using them, like I'd say second wind is as good as a potion. I would go with a potion or second wind before I would ask heals from a cleric. Just kind of how it tends to work out. Say bad things happened last session. Next session, ground day. What? Personally, never played clerics because he didn't think it would be good for your DM to play literal god. Yeah. Grave clerics. I miss Grey Guards. Yeah? Is that what they are? Because there was... Yeah. Right? There were paladins, and then there were black guards, and then there were gray guards. And gray guards afforded you to be... See, this is all pre-5e, where paladins are just paladins. Back when paladins were just LG, you needed the black guard, which was your evil version of the paladin. And then the gray guard, which was the paladin that would allow you to be something different, alignment-wise. For your next BG3 run, roll a bunch of clerics and call yourselves the Amen. That's fun, actually. That's not a bad idea. A party of clerics. I mean, you'd always have a heals and be able to handle yourselves. Blackguard, Lawful Evil, Anti-Paladin, CE. AD&D had limited classes and limited races. Everything else you had to homebrew. Grey Guards were basically neutral paladins. Yeah. They were for if you wanted to go CN, like me, which I did all the time, because I think CN's the best alignment. Well, I certainly think it offers you the most freedom. I think you're right. That's why they existed. Because first it was just Paladin, And then they made it, but they made it just evil. And I remember being annoyed because I was already annoyed that I didn't like the paladin because I was forced to be lawful good. And then to find out that the blackguard, it's like only lawful evil. It's like, but then the gray guard came along. Neutral evil. Probably. I think that they could be anything neutral. We're probably both wrong, though. I'm going to probably go look it up later, and it's going to be like, nah, that's not correct. All right, well, let's talk about, now since we're in chat, and since we're already here by now, well, anybody want to talk about good stuff of the week? Anybody have any good things of the week? I would say my good thing of the week would be that I am surrounded by good friends and family when it comes to, even when dealing with emergencies, i.e. this nonsense with my car. I'd say that the meeting that I had this afternoon went really well in regard to a supplement that may be coming in the future. And when I moved my car from one place to the other, it didn't explode. That's a good thing. Have to head out. All right. Have a good one, Riva. Got your D&D session scheduled. Nice. D&D needs a villager class. Feats for bartending, shop running. Oh, wow. That's a really cool idea, actually. You get to be on vacation through next weekend. Got great players. Oh, that's good. My friend has her movie being shown at the RIFF. Whoa, cool. That's awesome. And no drama. Happy you're here and okay. Good thing of the week, you're down 20 pounds. Nice. Congratulations. Keep it going. I've lost like 35 pounds this year. It's because I've been mowing a lot. My good thing, not this week, but I got into a game as a player and it's been super fun. Downside, it happens while this podcast is on. Oh, no. Well, that's okay, Flint. Enjoy your game. You can always watch the VOD. You can always listen to this when it comes out on Saturday. Yeah, have a good one, River. We'll talk soon. We'll play more of our bard thing later at another time. Had one of the worst weeks ever. Sorry to hear that. Glad you made it through. Sometimes it seems impossible, but my grandfather used to say it'll all work out. And I got to be honest, I've found that that's typically the case. It may not work out the way you think it will, but usually it works out. Your good thing was reconnecting with an old math teacher whose students might be able to help you playtest a design. Nice. Oh, that's cool. I want to give a heads up for a night in Lonesome October. Oh, yeah, Ron, please, can you speak about that for a second? Because I saw your email about it, and I think it's really cool. And, man, I wish that I would have made a little thing written up about it so that I could actually talk about it. But there is so this is a book, right? It's called A Night in the Lonesome October. And I believe that it's a collection of short stories, and it's designed to be read every day. It's designed such that you read one story for every day in October. And Ron sent me an email about it. Yes, it's by Roger Zelazny. It is Zelazny. But it's 32 chapters. So maybe we'll do some of that on here. That'd be fun. We could do that through Halloween on the podcast, right? When we go through, we could maybe read a short story or two. Or 4, or however many episodes we've got on Halloween. That could be fun. Good thing of the week is your son is on school holidays and hanging out with him making Legos. Heck yeah, that's always fun. But yes, thank you, Ron, for reminding me of that. So please, everyone, I encourage you to check that out as we approach Spooky Town. I'm really excited about October. Actually, Halloween's my favorite holiday, as we've discussed. So. And getting into the fall is nice. The grass doesn't grow as fast, so we have to mow less. So that's nice. But, all right. Well, here we are already at the end again. Every week goes by quicker. And I can't believe we've already done 40. The big 4-0, gang. We did it. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. All right, so before we get out of here, let's remind everyone again to please send your questions to bardadvice@gmail.com. It also looks like bardadvice. If you've not asked a question before, please consider sending in a question. And even if you've asked questions before, send them in. I've got some stuff to catch up through, but I'm always looking for more questions, so send them over. If you want to get yourself some merch, including Man Shorts shorts, you can get them at manshorts.com. And if you'd like to contribute to anything that I'm doing musically, you can do so at PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo, all of which are Yazik, Y-A-H-Z-I-C-K. And just a reminder, I've got that link for the GoFundMe in the description if you are so inclined or willing and able to contribute to that. I hope that everybody has a fantastic weekend. I will be here next week, same Bard time, same Bard channel, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, streaming on the Man Shorts YouTube channel. The audio for this podcast will be available on Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As I mentioned, I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend and a fantastic week. I look forward to seeing you all next time.